everyone. Welcome to the American Sports Connection. I'm your host, the one and only Joey Railroads. I'm here with my buddy Adam Yurdock. Adam, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Uh, Trying to make it. You know how it is.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Cleveland Browns. Since this time change, I'm still looking for my first win. I'm not adjusting too well.
No, I don't. I don't like it myself. I know Lance had said out in Vancouver that way they were. I think they were only going to do it this year, and then they were like going to not do it anymore.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I said I would be completely fine with that. I know it was them and the East Coast. It was like Maine and some another state wanted to do that.
Yeah, I heard Massachusetts.
Yes.
They like wanted to go. They wanted to go to Central Time
What?
permanently or something. Yeah, I was. I heard. Or they wanted to like join Central Time permanently or some weird thing. And I was like, yeah, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah,
Just
that's
stop
weird.
it. Yeah.
As you would say, make it stop.
Yes, cut it out, everybody. Just universal time.
Yeah, yeah, I
What the
agree.
hell time is it? It's the same time everywhere.
That'd be an interesting thought.
Yeah, it wouldn't work because, everybody would have a reason not to do it. But
Oh, of course.
it's just a number on the wall, honestly. I mean, does it really matter what you call it? You know?
No, not at all. All right, well, let's get into this past week's games. This past Thursday night, we had Seattle beating Arizona 22-16.
Yeah, boy, did you see the thumping Russell Wilson took in that game? Oh
Yes,
my
he
God.
took a beating.
He did, and he did make a couple of those classic Russell
Like,
Wilson
how do you do
throws.
that
Yeah,
throws?
like running, like doing the old dipsy do, running around in three pirouettes and then throwing, I think, that one ball on the sideline of James Baldwin, who wasn't even supposed to be running. He was
Yeah,
supposed to be blocking on that play.
honestly, it reminds
Yeah,
me of like when you were in the backyard or in, playing in an open field and it's like you sat down and you're like, okay, I'll run around, you go to the left, you go to the right, and we'll figure it out.
the closest thing I can think of it is watching old footage of Fran Tarkenton, how he literally just used to like run around in circles, just literally circle
Yeah.
back, circle this way, and then just eventually either throw it or take off. And I think he would just literally just tire guys out. Guys would just say, "God, forget it. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Or wear guys out. And then, but the great thing about Wilson and Tarkenton was like this too is, he always has in mind to throw the ball. He's always got, no matter how turned around and screwed up he gets, he's always got his eyes down the field, and he can just square his shoulders that quickly and just get that ball off.
And we've
You know,
we've talked about this. Uh
hmm
they teams know like that they want to go for that bomb, like the deep play. And it's like no, they always seem to get it somehow.
I think what it is and you're right. There have been so many situations where that they have to get a big play or they're going to lose the game. Like the game 2 weeks ago where they had to go 90 yards and they did it in 3 plays against Houston.
It's amazing.
And it is. And I think the thing of it is first of all, I think you have to really appreciate his accuracy on the deep throw, which is amazing.
Oh,
But also
absolutely.
the more he runs around, the more those things break down. And his receivers, and they must work on this because receivers come and go there, But he really, I mean, Baldwin's very good, but other than that, they really don't have anybody who is what I would call a superb receiver. So they seem to be able to put anybody on the field and do this stuff with. So they must practice this. But these
Yeah, I was
guys
gonna say
keep working.
they have to. The
Yeah,
one
they
big
keep working to get
takeaway from
open.
this game is Richard Sherman blew his Achilles out.
Devastating.
Yeah, that's a big loss.
Yeah.
And then they actually went and signed former Legion of Boom player Byron Maxwell this week.
Yeah, well, we all know that he was more, judging from his career after he left there, he was more a product of
Yeah, you're
their
the more
scheme.
like complimentary piece.
Yeah, he was much more a product of their scheme than their scheme was a product of him because he didn't do so well subsequent to being there. But I think it's a good signing in that you have the familiarity and you could plug him right in and he'll know
Yeah,
what to do.
I mean he
And they're not
got
going to ask him to play a lot of. They're not going to ask him to play a lot of straight man either.
no, he's more of a zone guy.
Yeah, so in that sense, it's good. You
It's
can't really
just
replace Richard Sherman. It's just the
yeah,
field generalship and the leadership and kind of he does the tackling, the hard hitting, the trash talking. He just kind of does all that, all those little intangibles. Hopefully, they can manage to do a lot of that without him. But that's kind of like almost like using your quarterback on the other side of the ball.
yeah, it really is.
Mm.
And then Arizona, they're just, I mean, granted they're 4-5, but I just think they're headed toward the dumpster.
Yeah, honestly, I think they're one of the teams that their record is better than the team actually is. In
Yeah,
other words, I think 4-5 is deceptive in terms of it exaggerates the quality of the team.
yeah,
I think that they're a worse football team than that, and I don't think that they're really going to make any kind of I don't think they can make any kind of a run to catch teams like Seattle and Carolina, which currently would be the two wild cards they would have to catch.
yeah,
They've been outscored by opponents by like 68 points. So
yeah.
and to have one more loss than win, I mean, I mean, I don't like Palmer, but Drew Stanton, no Johnson for a while yet. And I think losing Calais Campbell hurt them, a lot.
Yep.
Kind of like the anchor of that defensive line. They've gradually just kind of been peeling off defensive guys, thinking the system will hold up for itself. But I think they're kind of getting to a point where that's starting to get a little bit thin, especially up front. I think the secondary is still really good, though.
Yeah.
But I think they're wearing thin.
Next, we have the Packers hanging on and beating the Bears 23-16.
Yeah, it was a quality win for Green Bay, I think, because I saw in the highlights that Hundley threw some really beautiful balls down the field to Devontae Adams, who seems to be becoming his kind of go-to guy. And we really hadn't. One of the things we talked about in the past couple of weeks was that we didn't really see Hundley attacking down the field and how defenses were shrinking up on him.
He sure attacked this game.
He did. They got a lot of good play, and he squeezed some throws in some tight spaces. I mean, there were some throws he made that were not wide open, and he really kind of squared up and fired the balls in. And I think that's good. I think now that it's kind of like in basketball, when a guard is cold and he makes a couple shots, and he kind of gets into a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good now that he made a couple shots down the field. I think things are going to open up for him a lot too. And the other thing that I really liked was that rookie running back Williams.
Yes.
When he came in late in the game, and he really picked up some nice first downs for them. He was running like a Mack truck. If you look at the highlights, there was a 3rd and 1 and a 2nd and 4 where he literally carried 2 or 3 guys for the first day. He was really running like a guy who wants a job. So that'll be refreshing for Packers fans too. I mean, Chicago, they're really playing hard at this point, but their quarterback is still, in the learning phases, and the receiver core is just
They just don't have enough talent at the depth or the skill positions.
They really don't. And wasn't that sad about that one call that John Fox challenged, hoping it would turn into a touchdown, and it actually ended up being turned into a touchback?
Yeah, that was weird.
It's one of the weirdest challenges. The poor slob challenged it, thinking he's going to get 7 points, and he ends up losing the ball completely. I was like, oh my God.
Unbelievable.
John. Yeah, but the Bears, I just think that they need to maybe upgrade that wide receiver position a little. Both lines played well. I think they're going to be okay, but I think that the quarterback, he just needs a little more growth. I like the way their defense is playing. They're just not quite good enough to win some of these games against teams like, Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. They're a little bit more well-rounded than Chicago is right now.
No, I completely agree with you. All right, next we have the Lions coming from behind and beating the Browns 38-24.
Yeah, as you would typically expect, the Browns kind of shot themselves in the foot on this one. I think the big turnover that kind of changed the game was the first down throw to the tight end, DeVal, where he fumbled it and it got returned the other way for a touchdown. I think that was the play that really turned it around for the Lions, because I think the Browns were ahead at that point by 7, and that tied the game. And it seemed like the Lions picked up a lot of momentum from there.
Yeah, they just always seem like a team that, remember last year, they would always come from behind.
Yeah, that's true. They're not very put off by being behind. And the Browns, honestly, they don't know what to do when they're ahead, because I think I saw a graphic, like they've spent like 10 minutes of game time in the lead this entire season so far. And they've had like 10 minutes of game time with the lead. So what does that tell you? I mean, they don't spend a lot of time in the lead. They don't really know how to.
They like living on the edge. Yeah,
they're not. It's like, well, we don't have the lead. What do we do here? Do we fumble? Do we throw an interception?
Yeah, do we screw it up?
Yeah, so that plus the fact that they're one of the most turnover. They have a great tendency towards turnovers as well, of which they did have a couple in this game. So, but Detroit, basically, I want to give a shout out to the Golden Tate, who I think might be probably could very well be one of the best 2 or 3 receivers in football, although you will never see him named in the top 3 in anybody's list.
Yeah.
I really do think just week after week he's got incredible hands. He runs those wide receiver bubble screens better than any receiver in football.
I think he's very
yards
underappreciated.
After the catch. Oh yeah, yards after the catch, jumping up and attacking the ball for a guy who I don't believe is really that tall as a receiver. He is amazing. He's so much fun to watch. And some of these big guys, I wish they would watch some film of him and really, get some of his attitude, his toughness of attacking the ball in the air and stuff like that. The guy's money, man. I like to watch Golden Tate play. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, next we have the Steelers surviving in Indianapolis, 20-17.
Yeah. Remember we were talking before the game, and I told you, I don't know. They play kind of crummy against crummy competition.
And what happened?
Oh my gosh! Well, what happened was they went down 17-3 on a couple of really insipid blown coverages. I think they were down 10-3 at the halftime, and then in the third quarter, the Colts had that long touchdown. It was weird, that long touchdown where Mitchell and the other guy collided with each other.
Yeah.
And the receiver just walked in. At that point, it's 17-3, and you're like, all right, well, you really need, and to their credit, I mean, they did crank it up at that point, and they did start to kind of spread the ball around, and I give Ben credit. He kind of ran the offense, got the ball to Bryant, to Schuster, to Brown, to Bell, and to McDonald, and kind of got everything clicking. And then, but you see, like we were talking about how highly ranked Pittsburgh's pass defense is, even though their secondary isn't that great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's because of the pass rush. When their pass rush doesn't get there,
they're in trouble.
You can almost be sure that they're going to give up pretty big plays. So once the pass rush started to get there, things did change somewhat. And I have to say, though, one of my favorite plays of the game was when on the blocked extra point, and the holder and Jesse James ran down the guy who
like the guy that's like 6'7", 260, running like a running back to make sure that the the guy that for the Colts that picked up the extra point doesn't score and get 2 points.
Yeah, and the holder who kind of flashed in front of him and forced him to change direction.
Yes.
So that was the holder.
Was really impressive.
He actually had to get up. He actually had to get up from a holding position. And when those blocks happen, you got guys trampling you and kicking you and jumping over you. So he actually had to get up out of his position as the holder and take off down the field, take the perfect angle and flash in front of that guy. And he drove him right in front of Jesse James so that Jesse James can make the tackle. What a great effort. And hey, look, it was the 3-point game. You don't know how that 2-point game may have affected things, how that whole game may have unfolded differently.
Dean in our chat, that's the Steelers fan, he says, fire Todd Haley.
I honestly, Dean, I would have thought on 3 or 4 occasions prior to this that would have happened. And I look at it this way: if he's lasted this long, I really don't see it.
He's in it for the long haul.
Yeah, I mean, he must be a lifer. If it's like surviving like a sentence in a really violent prison. If you've made it this long, you must have some friends somewhere.
That's horrible.
I've got somebody watching the shower for you. Yeah.
Oh, the Steelers win this game, but they don't come out unscathed. Unfortunately, Joe Hayden has I think it's a hairline fracture or some kind of fracture of his tibia or fibula. He's not done for the season, but he can potentially come back right at the end of the season.
As long as he's back for the playoffs, I think we can live with that. It does.
So that's a big loss.
It is. It is.
All right, next we have the Jaguars, who me and Lance and Dean had been talking about for years to try to get going, win in overtime against San Diego, 20-17.
Jeez, this was such a mistake-filled, mess of a game.
Do you remember what the analogy I used for this game?
Well, I know that we actually changed. I was over your house, and we actually changed the channel, even though it was in overtime.
Yeah. No, I remember the analogy I used. I was like, this is like giving two guys having a knife fight, but giving two guys butter knives.
Two bald guys fighting over a comb.
Yes.
Yeah. But at any rate, it was a really good game for San Diego's undrafted rookie running back, Austin Eckler.
Yes.
I like that kid. He's like a muscle.
I think he had 2 touchdowns.
He did, and unfortunately, he had a costly fumble near the end of the game. But he had a very good game. I like him because he's kind of like a stronger version of Danny Woodhead. He's physically, I think, more a little bit more in between Peyton Hillis and Woodhead kind of a kid. Yeah. But yeah, he danced along the sidelines, kept his balance for one really long, impressive touchdown. Then he had another. The thing about what I don't understand about Phillip Rivers is that you're in a tie game, you're in overtime, you're deep in your own territory, and you just decide, hey, let me just throw a deep ball down the sideline into double coverage. For what reason? Why? I don't understand.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher.
And then it ends up getting taken back all the way to the 2-yard line. It's just like, I really don't understand. As long as he's been around, why Rivers still makes throws like that. But that basically was the difference in the game. I mean, San Diego had the ball, and they had an opportunity to just kind of hold it and move down the field and maybe kick a winning field goal. But another head scratcher from Phillip Rivers. Go figure.
No, yeah, it's just weird, and they're winning with defense and running the ball.
And Bortles in this game throwing the ball, wow, very accurately. Yes, I'm telling you the truth.
That's why it's cold out.
And the one pass he threw badly, it was like tipped 3 times in the air and an interception. Yes, it was his fault, but he did throw. But he threw the long ball very well. His completion percentage was very high, and I'm like, holy crap! Don't tell me that this guy's going to start actually being a quarterback who throws the football. We might be in for a renaissance period here. This could change the way football is thought of.
Yeah.
Blake Bortles actually starts throwing the football. It was amazing, but they lost Hearns now. I don't know if you saw that on.
No, I did not.
Yeah, now Hearns is injured, so you have no Robinson, no Hearns, and that Marquise Lee is really going to have to carry he had a good day yesterday.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to hold up with that.
He's going to have to carry. Yeah, he's really going to have to step it up in the passing game because they're hurting at the wide receiver position.
Lance just said Rivers is probably out this week. He's in the concussion protocol.
Well, yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, really.
They could use that game. I mean, they really could have, but that's been their whole year. They've been this close, but stupid mistake. Bosa got a really stupid roughing the passer penalty on the Jacksonville
where he
drive.
Suplexed him down.
Yeah, he body slammed him, and that was the field goal. That made it a virtual chip shot for
it was just
Novak.
A dumb penalty.
Yeah, I mean, and this just seems to be like a virus with the Chargers. Untimely turnovers, interceptions, penalties. I just miscommunications and stuff like this. They just it stays with them. Coaches change. They change cities, and it follows them. They move across California. It's still with them.
Nah.
I don't understand. It's weird.
Yeah.
But good for Jacksonville, though. They are really playing well. Their defense is ferocious, and I'm looking forward to seeing them appear in the playoffs. Maybe they're a fun team to watch now, and Blake Bortles seems to finally be getting it. I enjoy. Who would have thought we would have said that? I enjoy watching the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh my God!
Yeah, must see TV.
Scary.
All right, next we have the Saints coming to the East Coast and absolutely annihilating Buffalo, 47-10.
You want to know? We were talking about this game yesterday. I didn't even consider what makes this score absurd is the fact that the Saints, traditionally a dome team and a team that used to have so much trouble winning away from home, go to Buffalo where nobody is supposed to be able to come in and beat them, particularly when the weather is kind of chilly, and they just and it's kind of like the most unlikely of outcomes. They go in there and they not only come out of there with a win, but they completely annihilate them.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
They beat them at their own game. They ran the ball.
Yeah, they basically punched them in the mouth until they surrendered.
With complete authority. And we were talking before the show about some statistics regarding Buffalo's run game, which has really kind of gone backwards this year. They had led the league in rushing the last 2 years, and now this year they installed this zone blocking scheme for the first time. And they're actually
they're worse.
They are actually. I was looking at the statistic. 24% of their run plays get stuffed at the line of scrimmage, which puts them ranks them at 26th in the league in terms of how many of their run plays get destroyed at the line of scrimmage. And if this statistic is correct, it was shocking. I have to double check it later. But the article I read said they're only averaging 2.8 yards a carry.
Jesus.
So you might actually be happy that your Eagles didn't go out and grab one of those offensive linemen from Buffalo. There was a lot of talk you might be making a move for one of there were actually 3 different guys.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about the Eagles might go out and get after Peters one day. You might actually be happy that. But, so, and then they make a lot of weird calls. Like yesterday they did this lateral toss to Mike Tolbert. Why do you run a lateral toss to Tolbert, who weighs 300 pounds and is built like a Franklin stove? I mean, that's just stupid, know? But they're really, the Buffalo Bills have a problem to solve, and that is that they are supposed to be a running team that doesn't run the ball anymore. And that's when your quarterback situation with Tyrod Taylor, that's when he becomes a problem.
Yep.
Because he's not a bad quarterback. He protects the ball, but now you're forcing him on all these 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10. That's where he becomes a liability.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. All right.
And watch the Saints running game. Watch out for Mark Ingram, because the man is running. He's built like an animal. He looks like he's trimmed down, maybe hit the weights, maybe juicing a little bit. I don't know. Look, watch out for that guy.
All right. Next, we have Tampa Bay picking up a W against the Jets, 15-10.
Yeah, wow.
Fitzpatrick getting his revenge.
The Fitzpatrick revenge game. Yeah. And he could only manage 15-10. That's the height of his rage. This was a really ugly game. This is a game that was so ugly that incomplete passes were featured in the highlight reel.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was basically a turnover festival. And
if you're watching me live, I'm like putting my hand over my face and like just
Yeah, this was basically the quarterbacks exchanging turnovers. And I just think that the Jets' front seven was a little bit more stout. They didn't allow Tampa's front seven was a little more stout. They didn't allow the Jets to move the ball until very late in the game. And Tampa got close enough to kick field goals. Was really the big difference. They kicked 3 field goals, got that late touchdown, and then the Jets basically scored with like 20 seconds left in the game. So really, it was a 15-3 game. And then for you fantasy owners, Robbie Anderson, a receiver for the Jets, who I really, really like and expect big things from.
Got a garbage touchdown.
He got a junker with about 20 seconds left, and then I think that was the game. I believe that was the game where they attempted one of the worst onside kicks in history, where it went like 3 yards and then went out of bounds. It didn't even go.
The worst kick I've ever seen.
Yeah, and the announcer was like, "Okay, well, that's not going to cut it." He didn't even know what else to. Yeah, so that was just. But the Jets, I don't understand the Jets. I mean, they played so well for a couple weeks after Oakland beat them, but they have just come up short on a couple. And this was an opportunity to win a road game against a team that's falling apart.
Yep.
And they really just laid an egg. I don't understand the AFC East. The Patriots have been begging the whole AFC East to make a move, and they all had a chance, and they've all laid major eggs.
And they all just self-inflicted wounds.
Buffalo did it against the Jets, and now this week the Jets have done it. And Miami. I mean, as ridiculous as it is, until last night they were 4-4. They've laid a couple of major eggs on national television. Everybody's like, "Go ahead, Patriots, go ahead."
Yeah, we surrender.
Yeah, we give up. You win it every year anyway. What's the bloody point?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's a shame because everybody in that division was right there a couple weeks ago. But it's really starting to look like they're going to take it by default either way.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's see here. Next, we have the Vikings winning in Washington, 38-30.
Really, I think the only reason this game was as close as it was is because Case Keenum threw those 2 idiotic interceptions.
God-awful interceptions.
Yeah, and frankly, I don't entirely blame him because Jay Gruden, the head coach, doesn't he still call the offensive plays? I think he does. Why are you calling those kind of plays in the fourth quarter with a 2-score lead? I mean, why are you even calling them? Why are you even calling those outs?
Stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that the only chance that Washington has is to get those turnovers. I mean, just get Latavius Murray out there and bang them. Just bang them. So I somewhat blame Keenum because they were bad interceptions. I also blame the play calling. I mean, just mash them, dude. This impatience with the running game. I don't understand it, but Yeah, it was a fun game, but you and I were talking about earlier about how the Redskins going into this game were the fumble kings of the NFL, 20
Yes.
fumbles, which led the league. I don't know what the numbers are now after Sunday, but going into Sunday, 20 fumbles, which led the league, and 10 lost, which also led the league. And certainly Kirk Cousins is a gamer, but he's also a part of that, because I think the Redskins are sort of the anti Cardinals. I think they're much better than their record.
Yes.
I think they're much better than 3-6. I think their
And
defense
Cousins is always a gamer.
he is, like we always talk about. Look how he runs for these first downs head first and takes these big hits and makes these throws in the pocket and gets crushed. I mean, he really is a gamer. He never quits. And I think he deserves all the more credit because who are the two major pieces in their passing game right now? Vernon Davis and who? Thompson?
Yeah, the running back.
Second running back? That's your two weapons in the passing game.
And Pryor's been an absolute bust.
Pryor admitted in an interview, I suck. I haven't been working hard. I need to step up. So he basically confessed, I'm a slob. And then Crowder, he had a couple big catches yesterday, but all he's done until yesterday was fumble punts. That's it.
Yep.
So all the more credit to Cousins. He's making this happen with Vernon Davis and Thompson.
Yeah, if he wasn't there, they'd probably be a top 5 pick.
You just talk about a one-man wrecking crew. So I don't know. Maybe he really does end up going somewhere else. But yeah. So, but I don't know what you think about the Minnesota situation. I think right now, you got to go. Case Keenum should be your quarterback, even if Bridgewater is okay, because I think Case Keenum is performing very well and they're winning games, man. I don't know.
Broke, don't fix it. I
don't know how you pull the plug on that. And he's got this great connection with Adam Thielen. They just got this great rapport where he lasers the ball to a spot, and Thielen's got those long arms. He just goes out there and grabs. I love the way his rapport with their top two guys, Diggs and Thielen. I don't think you tinker with that.
No, I agree with you.
And I'll tell you something. A lot of people at the beginning of the year never would have predicted. I think they're the best 1-2 wide receiver punch in football.
Yep.
Diggs, Thielen.
He's the home run guy, and the other one's the possession guy.
Find me a better 1-2 punch in football. I wouldn't take anybody over them. I'm telling you.
All right. Let's see. Next, we have the Titans coming from behind and beating Adam's favorite team, the Bengals, 24-20.
Yeah, the Bengals deserved this, but I just want to highlight what's his
Murray.
name? Yeah, thank you. He had a really big game. Yeah, that was kind of interesting to see. But I want to talk about one particular thing that happened right before halftime. It may not seem like a big deal, but I like to see smart football. So here's what happened. I believe it was 14-12, and Tennessee's moving the ball down the field and trying to get in the field goal position. And Mariota hits Eric Decker over the middle, and Eric Decker has a chance to either run down the field or kind of curve down to the left and try to get out of bounds, either of which, he probably would have been tackled. What Eric Decker does is he immediately kneels, gives himself up, and starts calling timeout. And all of his teammates, all the wide receivers, all the linemen, everybody starts signaling for a timeout, and they get the timeout, and they kick the field goal, and it ends up being like, a 44-yarder as opposed to, a long shot. And that 17-12 lead ended up padding it enough for them to win the game. And I just thought that was, given all the flubs that we see in clock management at the end of half,
that was a good one for once.
Right, because he had room to run, but the thing about it is he would have eventually have been caught, and there were only like 3 seconds on the clock when he caught the ball. So he didn't try to break tackles. He didn't try to run down the field. He didn't try to run out of bounds. He gave himself up, signaled timeout. And think about it, in case the referees didn't see him signaling for timeout, everybody on the Titans team was signaling timeout.
Gotcha.
You know, the line, all those, it was the thing of beauty. So it came in, they kicked that field goal, increased their lead, and that ended up being enough for them to win the game. So you talk about a game of inches, and now they're 6-3, right along with Jacksonville. How insane is that?
Yeah, they've come quite a ways.
Yeah, and it's kind of comical because the Bengals' struggles with the AFC South continue. You think about that? They lost to Jacksonville, they lost to Tennessee, and they were a weird interception to Dunlap away from losing to the Colts.
Yeah, it's been strange.
I love the Colts offense, and I know I say this every week. It's AJ Green and nothing else. You know, they don't get big plays to AJ Green. They're nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the redhead's got to go.
No, absolutely. All right, next we have the Rams putting an ass kicking on the Houston Texans, 33-7.
And do you know, until about the 6.5 minute mark of the third quarter, that was I want to say a 7-3 ball game, I think. It was basically a one-score game. And what I like about the Rams offense, though, Mike, is that they run this misdirection where they like to send like Tavon Austin in one direction, and they throw these backside screens to Gurley.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they've been getting so much. I wonder, why do the Rams always get such big gains out of their screen passes? It's because they're always sending, like Austin or another fast guy, they always send him in the opposite direction. And if the other team's playing man defense, somebody's got to follow him. And it's a thing of beauty. The play calling is really beautiful, and Goff has really grown by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I would have never expected the growth he's taken this year. So
no,
credit to them hiring that. I think it's McVay.
Yeah, what is he, like 30 years old, and he's got the respect of his players. And
yeah,
of course, bringing in Phillips, I mean, that was a genius move because they already had a pretty good front seven, and he's just turned them into absolute beasts. I mean, the front seven, they're just ferocious. And the secondary's getting better. They're not a stout secondary, but they do make plays. So I'm impressed.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I think the Rams are the truth.
Oh yeah, I agree. There's nothing else to really talk about this one. So moving along, we have Atlanta eventually beating up on Dallas 27-7.
I really think, I want to give Atlanta credit, especially to Claiborne for getting the 6 sacks. But
I felt so bad for that kid.
The left tackle situation was what the turning point of this game, and they never gave him any help. All they did was sub him out, and the same exact result happened to his sub. And,
it reminded me of what happened to, and Lance will probably remember this, poor Winston Justice years ago against OCU Manure on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, Derek Johnson against the Seahawks.
Where they just, you're going to kill a fucking kid's confidence doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was horrible. And as much as I would like to give the Falcons some credit for getting that win, I just can't help but feel like, that the whole thing was...
It was all because Prescott didn't have any time to breathe.
And you'll notice and I think that, Carrot Top Gary, he's such a terrible coach. I mean, first of all, you didn't give any help. You didn't give any, you just kind of stuck him out there and said, okay, you're going to have to learn on your own. You didn't give him any chance to succeed out there. No help, no max protect.
Nope, nothing.
And then finally, I want to say I was probably into the fourth quarter, maybe late in the third, when they finally started to play 3 tight ends and run Morris off to the right side. And they finally started to get some gashes off to the right side.
But it was too little too late.
And it was too little too late. And I'm like, you knew about this all week. Like, this didn't just unfold. Like, what did you... Like, maybe you didn't think it was going to be this bad, but you had to know that this was going to be a weakness and that they were going to attack it. And I just think, for a team that really need this W, and they've got the Eagles coming up now, and, I can't understand why you would just leave that poor kid on an island like that. Wouldn't, like, after the first 3 sacks, it would be like, okay, we need
we got
to
to figure something
there
out.
to double chip. Yeah, and the time to bring in 3 tight ends and start shutting that down is like not when you're already down 20-7. It's crazy. That's just another example of why I think he's one of the worst head coaches in football. That's terrible.
Yeah, no, I felt bad for that poor kid. All right.
No Lee, you said, right, for a couple weeks.
Oh yes, that's right. I forgot before we move on.
Okay.
The rumor is Sean Lee's going to be out 3 weeks with a hammy.
Devastating. I wonder what's going on with Heath too, because he went out too. I think.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, that'd be a big loss too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
2 tackling machines. Yeah.
All right. Next, we have the 49ers getting their first win of the season against the G-Men, 31-21.
I'll talk about the Niners first because the Giants are just disgusting. But
what can you say about the Giants that we've already not has been said?
Well, I think that a lot of them are quitting on their coach, which I think is just criminal.
Janoris Jenkins with the abysmal effort at tackling in this game.
Yeah, on that 40-something yard touchdown by Selleck.
And then there was another time where he just was a turntable. Like, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it reminded me of like somebody like running out and like trying to hug somebody in the middle of a marathon. It's like, here, give me a hug. Oh, no, you're running. I'm sorry. Keep going. It was ridiculous. Now, look, there are some guys on the Giants that are still playing hard, like that wide receiver Shepard. He hauled in some amazing catches yesterday.
Kid, the tight end.
That Ingram kid tight end, he was a great draft selection. He's going to be around for a very long time. I really like him. Darkwa was running the ball hard. Olivier Vernon was playing hard. He got a great one-handed interception on a screen pass. I can't believe that Landon Collins would stop playing hard. I think he's still playing hard, but there are guys on that team that have just quit, and shame on them.
Yeah, Lance just said he thought it would be the Giants and Dallas fighting for the division. Boy, was he wrong.
Isn't that something, Lance? I mean, we all kind of knew that the NFC East was sort of an unknown, but we thought we had a pretty good grip on who would kind of be, right there fighting for it. And look what we have now. We have the Giants in the basement, and Washington at 3-6, and the Dallas is staring 5-5 in the face if they lose next week, and of course the Eagles, how brilliantly they're playing. Yeah, so that in itself that's an amazing story in itself. But
that's an interesting question, Lance. Is this the end of the road for Eli as a Giant? I
think so. I was Mike. You and I were talking about this, and I originally thought no. But I think with all the dissent and dissolution that's going on there, I'm starting to get a feeling like he may be willing. He may be willing, not because it's ending badly, but because of how it's ending. You know what I'm saying? With the dissent against
and he could still potentially go somewhere that's maybe a quarterback away in the right system or right. You know what I mean?
I think to just finish somewhere, Lance, where there's a positive attitude and there's an upswing happening, and there's sort of an atmosphere of winning and positivity. Maybe not on a team that's like Super Bowl bound, but on a playoff team or a fringe playoff team where they're really building something. I would have to think a little bit more to really nail down a team, and that could be very complicated. There are some possibilities, but just to go somewhere where he's not going to go down with a sinking ship like this is ugly. Nobody wants to be a part of. Nobody wants to be a part of something like this.
Right? Yeah. Lance said, "Is there any college quarterbacks that could fit in New York right now?"
Oh, I can.
There is one kid. Who's that one really tall kid with the big arm, Mike, but he's got the behavior problems. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes, the kid from UCLA.
Yeah. What do you think about him?
Josh Rosen.
Yeah, what's your take on him?
That's actually who most mock drafts have him going to.
Interesting. Well, Lance, I guess not to be uncreative, but if I had to, really for now, I say I'm not so sure about that. But if I had to kick somebody in there for now, I would say him.
He's a very polarizing figure in the sense of he speaks his mind, and I'm trying to think of a way to say he'll always he has no filter, I guess you would call it.
Maybe, in a way, New York almost needs a guy like that, maybe. I know on the surface it sounds, oh God, we need another distraction, but maybe New York needs that, and maybe Odell needs a guy like that to kind of balance, who knows, maybe Eli's, soft-spoken leadership and his sort
isn't good enough.
Depressed demeanor. Yeah, maybe it's not. It worked for a while, but his time is come and gone, I think. So I think it'd probably be best for everybody if he found a short-term deal with a more positive upswing, and they bring in somebody new. Yeah, they're going to have to gut some things. But I feel bad for this coach. I don't think he's that bad. It's not the coach's fault you give up a touchdown on a 3rd and 33 on a wide receiver screen.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not McAdoo's fault. McAdoo didn't go out there and miss 20 tackles. That's
exactly.
Just, and this thing like yesterday. So, yeah, I think the kid from UCLA would be my most likely, but there's a lot left to happen.
Yeah. All right. Next, we have the Patriots beating up on Denver 41-16.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, obviously, Tom Brady, super mega ultra sharp. You know how, Mike, we watch these games and we watch these quarterbacks miss these throws, and we get annoyed and then we say, it's not that big of a deal. But it is a big deal. And when we see these precision quarterbacks like Brady and Breeze and guys like that nail throw after throw after throw, that's the difference between these top teams.
Yeah.
And the second-tier teams. They hit every single throw. They hit the open throws. They hit these slants. And, they look like dinkers and dunkers. But you know what? They hit them every single one right in the belly. And that's basically what Brady was doing yesterday. Or, excuse me, 2 days ago.
It actually, believe it or not, wasn't on Denver's offense. They actually played pretty well. It was their defense that's just, leaking oil now.
Just like what we said a couple weeks ago against Philadelphia. Where's your leadership? Where are your best players? What is your bread and butter? When you talk about the Denver Broncos, what do you talk about? Do you talk about offense? Do you talk about the running game? Do you talk about the quarterback? Do you talk about, Menelik Watson or C.J. Anderson? No, you talk about the defense. Von Miller, Chris Harris, and Akeem Talib, the best corner tandem in football, supposedly. And
they gave up almost 100 points the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's disgusting. And you could see on their faces how just how deflated they are. That drive that Denver executed when they came out in the third quarter, it was a long drive. And it took about half the quarter. And I remember, you were kind of annoyed. It was like, oh, you're taking forever. So, see, that's the catch-22. They can win ball games playing exactly that kind of football. Those long drives.
Yeah, well, the problem was because they were already behind the 8 ball.
They were behind, but there was time. At that point, there was still time to come back if, and here's the thing, if your defense can stop somebody.
And they can't.
And their defense can't. And that's on the defense. It doesn't matter how fast or slow your offense moves the ball or scores. If your defense cannot make a stop, it doesn't matter. You could go down the field 2 plays, 80 yards. It doesn't matter when your defense does nothing. So that's kind of my point. Is I understand, but right now, Denver is trying to play catch up in a situation where their offense is not a catch up offense. It's not a pass happy offense. It can't be.
Yep.
And this Denarius Thomas, he's got to step up, man. What happened to him?
I know.
He's a big, strong dude. He's going to use his body to get open. He's going to push guys around. I'm sorry, Thomas. Peyton Manning's gone. The days are over. When that ball's going to get lasered right into your belly and make it so easy, he's gone. You got to start helping your quarterback out, man.
No, I agree with
you. These little receivers are making you look like a fool. Look at Sanders out there,
Mm-hmm.
But Denver's defense, totally. You got to call them out. And this coach, like with this guy McKenzie who keeps fumbling punts and kicks, Mike, you got to bench this kid. This coach for Denver is going to lose his job because he keeps putting guys out there who are failing. He's not making it. He's not making any changes.
Yep, he looks completely lost.
Except that the quarterback position, which really that was pointless. I see no point in even why he even did that. There's no point in doing that.
Nah.
That's just for the sake of saying, okay, I tried something different. There's no reasoning behind that. Going to Osweiler. Why? Because he was in Denver before. So what? He was crappy enough that they got rid of him over $1 million difference in a contract offer. I'm sorry, but that's Denver's defense needs to be held accountable.
No, I agree with you. All right, in the last game of the week last night, we had the Panthers pummel on the Dolphins, 45-21.
You know what Miami's secret to success is? Keep them off national TV.
Yeah.
If they didn't play on national television, they might not actually suck. I think I've seen them twice on national TV, and twice they've been crushed out of the stratosphere, well, except for the Raiders game. But they still lost that game, too. So they 0-3 on national television.
Yeah.
So I think in this game, we'll focus on the winners because I focus on the losers too much sometimes. We'll go positive.
Yeah, there you go.
Cam Newton running the ball. Have you ever seen anything like him, Mike? Isn't he something else?
No.
I mean, he's the thing about him is I'm not the guy who handles the money. That's maybe why I say this. If you have to feature Cam Newton in your running game, by all means, go ahead. You got Stewart there. You got McCaffrey. You know what I mean?
His overrated ass finally did something.
You can't blame people for getting excited about McCaffrey, Mike. I told you before. You know why it is. He's a great white hope. He's a great white hope. Yeah. Everybody's waiting for the next great white running back, Mike. Come on.
Oh man.
Just like we're waiting for the next great heavyweight champion. Yeah,
don't get me started.
It's the great Caucasian, mission. We're all patiently waiting, praying.
Yeah.
But he is good, though. You have to admit he's a pretty diverse player. He can.
Right.
He can
I guess I've told
you
this. My main issue is they've made him out to be like the next Adrian Peterson from where he was like taken so highly in the draft.
Well, what I hate is because of his versatility. I hate when they compare him to somebody like, say, for example, a Marshall Faulk.
Yes, and he's nowhere near that.
No, not even.
Same stratosphere.
Not even allowed to eat in the same kitchen as Marshall Faulk. Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, But now you know what? Their front seven is really coming around. And, you get Kuechly back, and you see what a big difference he makes.
Oh, he's a leader.
But that front seven, dude, is just – it's just loaded with talent. Davis, Kawan Short on the front line there. And what's the other guy? Addison. They just got some bulls up front there, man. They are so disruptive. But I want to tell you something. If this Panthers running game starts to come around, and you're going to get Olsen back, in how many weeks do you remember?
After the bye.
After the bye, you get Olsen back after the bye. Yeah, watch out. They're 6-3 now. I don't see Dallas or Atlanta catching them. I don't know.
No, I agree with you.
And it's interesting that they dealt Benjamin when they did, because now you're basically saying Funchess is your guy.
Pretty much.
That's kind of, well, they think that Samuel's going to be a big deal. You know, your buddy from Ohio State, your favorite school.
Yeah.
but he's a lot like McCaffrey. He's a runner, a receiver, a do everything guy.
He's a little gnat too.
Yeah, he is. So, but I'm still confused over the Benjamin deal. If he was an attitude problem or what.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
all
maybe
right.
the Bills were desperate and they just offered something big. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I was just gonna, because I have this coming week's schedule up in front of me, and I wanted to get your opinions on the matchups.
Already.
We actually have another good Thursday night game.
I love it.
We have Tennessee traveling to Pittsburgh.
And Dean remembers these two teams have a history. The trampling of the towel.
Yeah, and then LeBeau runs their defense now.
And he runs their defense. So the who is the master and who is the student type of deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, this rivalry goes way back, and the Titans, and they're within a game of each other. They're both good teams. They're both atop their divisions.
Yes.
So this is awesome.
That being said, I'm taking Pittsburgh.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think that I think that I don't think Mariota maybe not quite ready for a defense like this. No matter how much they try to prepare him, it's one of those things you don't understand until you've been in it. Kind of like the Matrix.
Yeah, Land said. He says, I hope you guys love that stupid sky cam that they use, because they're going to be doing it for a lot of this game, apparently.
Was that the thing I always call the UFO?
Yes.
Yeah, that thing is so stupid. It looks like somebody's trying to it looks like somebody's trying to create a UFO hoax.
Yeah.
And it offers nothing to the game. Why do I want an overhead shot of a bunch of fat guys wrestling, basically?
Yeah.
That's not interesting to me. I don't know.
Nope.
Sometimes it gives you a different angle, but nah, Skycam does nothing for me, really.
All right.
In terms of the game action.
Next, we have Jacksonville traveling to Cleveland.
Boy.
I know this is a hard one.
I want you to win one game so bad, but Jacksonville's front four is going to...
They're going to eat them up.
They're going to apprehend Kaiser Soze.
Yeah, there you go.
I think just Bortles, just play mistake-free. This could be a very ugly game. It could be a game in which the Browns do lead for a while. I'm thinking San Diego, Jacksonville Part 2. I think Jacksonville squeezed this one out.
Yeah, I got Jacksonville. All right.
Sounds good.
Next, we have the Battle of South Florida. Tampa traveling to Miami.
Oh, God.
Yeah, who wants to get punished watching that?
Oh, boy. Our friends in Florida have been through so much with the hurricane and all, and now you give them this. God damn. Is there no justice in life? I'll take Miami because I do like their defense.
I'll take Miami because they'll probably make Fitzpatrick make a couple mistakes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I like Miami's defense. All right, we agree.
All right, next is Baltimore traveling to Green Bay.
You know what? I like a lot what Green Bay did this week. I think Hundley took some big growth steps. However, Baltimore has had a week off. They need this game badly to get 5-5. They can run the ball, and I think they are going to go out and grab this win to get to 500.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said.
I know, shocking now that we can pick road teams in Green Bay, but it's not the unbeatable home field it used to be.
All right. Next, we have the Lions traveling to Chicago.
As much as I like Chicago and the style that they play, I got to take the Lions because their defense makes turnovers. Watch out, Trubisky. And because their offense is very explosive, and I can't see Chicago scoring with them. So
Yeah,
I like Detroit.
Me too. I'll go with the Lions. Next, the big 1 o'clock game. The Rams traveling to Minnesota.
Oh boy, this is like the old 1978 NFC Championship game. You know, like just strangling each other and kicking each other in the crotch. This ought to be awesome. Having said that, I'm going to go with Minnesota here. I think that at some point there will be a pass rush and a secondary that will give Goff problems. And you know, Coach Zimmer, he knows how to contain some very good quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, and the like. And so I think he's going to do the same thing with Goff. He's very notable for doing that, and I think Minnesota's going to get a win at home here.
I will surprise you. I will actually take the Rams.
I'm not surprised. Because I think it's going to be a good game.
I think they have a better running game with Gurley that'll help offset what you're referring to.
You're right.
With Zimmer. And I don't trust their quarterback against the Rams defense.
Well, if Keenum doesn't clean up what he did in the fourth quarter
That's
this
what I'm
last
saying,
week,
yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, if he doesn't clean that up, they will feast on that. That's for sure. I am so much looking forward to that game now.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Next, we have Arizona traveling to Houston.
I think this is kind of the battle of substandard quarterbacks. And I think that Houston's quarterback situation right now is a little bit more alarming than Arizona's. I think Stanton is doing a little better, and both teams have good sets of dangerous receivers. I think Arizona's secondary is a little bit better. However, Houston's pass rush is a little bit better. This is almost a push, but I think Arizona is going to win because I think Savage is going to turn the ball over one too many times in this game.
I'm going to say the exact same thing, but I'm going to take Houston for the exact same reason. That I think Stanton will do it.
You could flip that coin. You could flip that coin either way. The other thing I like for Arizona is the fact that they have Peterson.
Yeah.
So, but you're right though. That's basically a gimme, you know.
Yeah, a pick 'em.
Yep.
All right, next we have Kansas City traveling to the G-Men.
Kansas City, huge.
Yep, that's all we need to say. All right, next we have the Redskins traveling to New Orleans.
I know that the Redskins really need this, but they're too mistake prone, and they're going up against a defense that is very oriented into making turnovers and taking advantage of them. On the offensive side of the ball, New Orleans' running game is really starting to explode. And I think that gives Drew Brees more help than Kirk Cousins gets from his running game, obviously. So even though Washington will play their butts off because they're in desperation mode, but I think the Saints will be too much for them, and they will win this game.
Yep, I'm going Saints too. All right, next we have Buffalo traveling out west to the Chargers.
I'll tell you something. This is going to be a tight game. Both of these teams have been struggling to run the ball as of late. Both of them are coming off losses that probably have them scratching their heads. This might be a weird reason to say so, but I'm going to go with the Chargers because of the fact that they at least have a down the field passing game. So on the strength of that, I'll take the Chargers by a field goal. I
agree with you. I'll take San Diego. Or excuse
Buffalo
me, LA.
Yeah. Oh, LA. Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next we have Cincinnati going out west to Denver.
I think Denver's going to continue to struggle in pass coverage. Whatever's going on with them, uh, the wheels are going to continue to fall off until I see it get fixed. And Cincinnati's defense is very opportunistic. They have a strong front four. Whoever Denver sets back there in the quarterback position is going to get harassed. Secondary's very strong for Cincinnati. I don't see Denver winning this game unless they play a very deliberately paced game, which nobody seems to be patient enough to do in the NFL anymore. So I'm going to have to go with Cincinnati.
I agree with you. I'm taking the Bengals. Next,
A lot of road teams we're
yeah.
picking.
Next, we have your team, but they're considered the home team. New England traveling to Oakland in Mexico City.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about this game a lot, and I think that there is a way for the Raiders to definitely win this game. However, there are a lot of things that would have to fall into place perfectly for them to do so. So I have to take the Patriots prohibitively just because they play too perfectly on offense, and the Raiders' defense is just too weak right now.
Yep.
But I predict a high-scoring game in which the Patriots will win, but one foible in one direction or the other, and the game could go in the other way. And keeping in mind, a win could put the Raiders in the 6th seed in the AFC. So
they're right. We'll have to see.
Yeah, they are going to be hungry, and they have had a week off. But New England, they play such a pristine game. It's frustrating.
No, absolutely. I'm going New England as well. All right, Sunday night we have Philly traveling to Dallas.
Yeah, after what we saw Sunday, I like Philly.
Especially with the injuries and, not knocking them, but I'm taking the Eagles.
Yeah, no Zeke. The offensive line situation, no Lee. And Heath, even if he plays, he seems to have left every game we've watched with an injury, so he's got to be dinged up.
Oh, Adam, real quick, I just noticed this comment that Lance said. You will appreciate this.
Sure.
He said the only way the Raiders are winning is if the Mexican drug lords kidnap Brady for ransom.
Well, they have to get the laser pointers out again, Lance.
Yeah, there you go.
Just attack of the laser pointers. But yeah, you're probably right. They'll probably have to take him to an undisclosed location and release him with after the gun at the when the fourth quarter ends. But yeah, we got some connections down there. I'll have to make some calls.
All right, and last but not least, next Monday night, Atlanta traveling out to the Legion of Boom in Seattle.
Well, this is virtually a must-win for Atlanta. And actually, it's against a team that they need to catch for a wild card spot. And you want to know something funny? I actually think that they can do this, except for the fact that their quarterback has just reverted to his mistake-prone style of 2 seasons ago.
Yep.
And Seattle's the wrong defense. Seattle's the wrong defense to play
sloppy,
mistake-prone quarterback. Yeah, so I'm going to have to go with Seattle despite the loss of Sherman. That defense always, they're an excellent next man up philosophy on that team, and I just think Seattle will handle their business. They'll get Ryan. They'll sack him. They'll get a couple picks.
I'll go with Atlanta just to switch, be a little different, and see how they. I don't know if they'll be able to handle Jones and all them losing.
Run the
Sherman.
ball, man. Run. Are they going to get Freeman back?
No.
Well, Coleman did pretty well against Dallas.
Yeah. So, what I'm hearing is he's not doing well.
Well, I say run the ball and give yourself manageable situations to throw out of. Get your play action game going,
Yeah.
But that's the only chance they have. But if they they let the pass rush come after him, and he starts firing down the field. He's just, I don't know. He just, ever since the second half of the Super Bowl, he's back to 2014 Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, before we get out of here for tonight, don't forget to find us on our social media pages, facebook.com/American Sports Connection, or on Twitter at AMSportsCon, CON, pod, POD. You can check us out there. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, give it a thumbs up, all that stuff. We'll see you back next week. Have a good night, everybody.